Okay, so hello everyone and welcome back to yet another IDT session. Okay, we'll be continuing with our supply part. Okay, so till now what we have done, let's have a revision of that and then we'll move on to the new part. So okay, so at first when we started GST, okay, we came to know about the word supply. What actually it is the charging event or principle by which GST liability is to be calculated. Okay, I'm not saying that once it is a supply you'll pay GST. There are some other factors as well which we'll see as the time will move on. But for GST, for to what I can say, to think that it is under GST, there should be a supply, correct? Then we came to the supply and it is under section 7, correct? When we started the supply, there was a section 7.1, okay, and in that there were three subsections, or what I can say, three clauses. Okay, there was 1A, B, and C. A was what? A was regarding the supplies definition, that it includes all form of, correct, supply includes all form like sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, lease, rental, disposal, etc. made or agreed to be made, correct, for a consideration by a person in the course or furtherance of business, correct. So section 7.1a completely gave us an overview that what actually they are trying to say with the word supply, but actually they try to mean that supply is both. Okay, so we got an general definition of supply in that section. Then we move on to B. B was regarding that import of service. If you remember, import of service for consideration whether or not. So import of service, I'm writing it. Import of service plus consideration is there. Okay, no matter whether it is for business or personal purpose, then also it is a supply. We read that. Okay, then we move on to clause C, which was nothing but it was schedule 1. It was schedule anything, schedule 1, which says that, okay, those transaction, okay, plus in the course or furtherance of business, in the course of furtherance of business will be treated as supply. Consideration may be there, consideration may not be there. Okay, so we read 4 entries. One was permanent transfer or disposal of business asset on which ITC has been availed, correct. Now we discussed a bit also that what actually ITC is. Okay, so if you have availed the benefit, so government will be charging tax for you. Then on the second entry, we read about principal to agent and agent to principal. Correct. We read about principal to agent and agent to principal, where agent undertake to supply or receive such goods on behalf of principal. Okay. Then we read about the third point, which was import of service. Okay. Import of service for consideration. Oh, sorry, import of service without consideration. Okay. From deemed, from distinct person or related person. We discussed distinct person as well. The distinct person is what? Distinct person is that your same entity in different state, because rules are like that, that if you have another business or you have branch of business that is in another state, so separate registration has to be there as per the, so registration is by state wise. Okay, and once your two entities are registered, that means they are distinct person to each other. And related person, we went on to the definitions: directors in one other business, family man, okay, family, employer-employee relationship. However, it is out of purview of GST. But there also there was a condition: if employer provides gift to employees worth 50,000 in a financial year, that is exempt, but more than 50,000 is taxable. Correct. Then we read about joint ventures. Okay, holding subsidiaries. Okay, two subsidiaries of a holding company, they are all related. Correct. Then fourth entry was, let me check. I'm forgetting the fourth entry. Yeah. Supply of goods or service between related person or distinct person in the course or furtherance of business, and import of service by a person from related person or any of his establishment outside India, that means distinct person, in the course or furtherance of business. So these were the four cases. Okay, so these were the four cases where if no matter whether there is a consideration or not, but still it would be treated as supply. And this is what all about Schedule 1 is. Okay, that transaction, this see activities specified in Schedule 1 made or agreed to be made without consideration will be treated as supply. Because when we started, we came to know about some parameters, correct? That supply should be of goods or service. Okay, among all those, the important parts were it should be for consideration, it should be in the course or furtherance of business. Correct. These are the two most important aspects. Okay, there are more aspects. It should be goods and service. Okay, it should be taxable goods, it should be a taxable supply. Okay, it should be made by a taxable person, it should be in the taxable territory. Those are secondary conditions, but most important are that it should be for consideration and in the course and furtherance of business. Correct. So we saw one course or furtherance of business exception as an import of service for consideration, whether or not in the course or furtherance of business, then also it will be treated as supply. Okay. Yes. Anything to ask? Okay. Then we move on to Schedule 1. Schedule 1 was all about without consideration. Okay. There are 4 entries that we saw. Yes, you have to ask anything. Oh, okay. Okay. Then see this is the related person definition. Officers or directors in one another business, legally recognized partner, employer-employee relationship. However, gifts up to 50,000 from employer to employee in a financial year is exempt. Third person holds 25% or more voting rights, then holding subsidiary, then 2 subsidiaries, joint venture, members of same family. One of them is the sole agent or sole distributor of other. Okay, family here includes spouse, children, and will includes parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters who are wholly or mainly dependent on him. Okay, so if they are dependent, then that they will be included in the family. Then we want to the distinct person. This is nothing but okay, different state, different registration, both are treated to a distinct person. We have discussed it in very detail in the previous session, so I won't be discussing that again. If you have doubt regarding that, I can clear it out. But if you have not yet visited that lecture, you have not yet seen, go through that lecture after that. Still, if you have any doubt, we'll discuss that. Okay. Okay, then we move on to section 7(1)(a), which is a schedule 2. Okay, why actually schedule 2 came? Schedule 2 is what? Now, once they have become a supply under section 7, okay, maybe by 7(1)(a) or by B, that is import of service, or those schedule 1 entries. Once they have become a supply, then doubt was there whether it is of goods or it is of service. So that has been clarified with the help of schedule 2, which is 7(1)(a). Okay, it says that what actually are goods, what actually to be considered as goods, and what are to be considered as supply of service. So the first one was permanent transfer of title. Correct. We read that whenever there will be a permanent transfer of title, it is always supply of goods. Maybe immediately, maybe default, means at future date. Okay, deferred transaction, both will be treated as supply and goods. But in place of permanent, in place of permanent title transfer title, if it would have been right in goods or undivided share, then it is supply of service. Means you are only giving him the right to use it for the time period being. Okay, then we went on to land and building. We know that land and building, lease, tenancy, easement, license are supply of service, but sale of land and building will never ever be under supply, because today only we'll read schedule 3, that is a negative list, which says that it has not to be treated as supply. Okay, here also we read that if your under construction building is purchased, on that GST is there. But if a uh, wholly constructed, ready to move in building is purchased, then there is no GST. Okay, Archana raised the question. I hope you remember. That treatment or process, that is job work, is always a supply of service. Even if that job worker is using some materials from its own site, then also it is to be treated as supply of service. Okay, then we talked about business asset. Now, relating to business asset, we have already read about it in Schedule 1, that is transfer or disposal of business asset, on which ITC has been availed. That is, will be a supply of goods. But if put to private use, it will always be a supply of service. Okay. Then there was specifically some points which said that this will be supply of service, that is renting of immovable property, under construction building being sold, that we discussed, transfer of right to use, non-competing services, any work done on IT softwares, any intellectual property rights being transferred temporarily or permitting use of the same. Okay. But here there is an exception, that sale of intellectual property will be a supply of goods. Okay, so pre-packed software is being sold nowadays. Okay, Tally and all, we know this will never be a service, this will be a supply of goods. Okay, but if you are only renting it, okay, you are taking the license to use it, that is a supply of service. Okay. Then we move on to composite supply. With composite supply, it said that today only we'll start composite supply. There we'll discuss everything. Okay. Then supply of goods by any unincorporated association to member will always be a supply of goods. Okay. So these were that we have done till date. Okay. All examples and all have been solved, are there in the earlier videos. Okay. Why I went it in so detail, I took so much time, because it has been almost a week. Correct. So just to have that flow, we discussed. Now we are moving on to, now see, we have done 7.1, including A, B, and C. Okay. We have done 7.1A. Okay. 7.1C is Schedule 1. Okay. 7.1A is Schedule 2, to provider to goods or service. Now we'll move on to 7.2. It is a Schedule 3. Okay. It is a Schedule 3. Schedule 3 is a negative list. Okay. It is a negative list. What is negative list? It will say that this can never be a supply, and one which can never be a supply, never ever GST will be GST liability will arise on them. Okay. Now see, non-taxable supplies, the word itself says non-taxable supplies under CGST Act. As per section 7.2, supply excludes activities on transactions specified in Schedule 3, that we'll read over here, but such activities or transaction undertaken by the central government or state government or any local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities, as may be notified by the government on the recommendation of council. Okay. Those activities, those transactions where CG and SG are being employed, or they are engaged as public authorities. Okay, the best example are this government medical shops. Okay, then they will never ever collect GST from. Okay, but if you go to a private medical shop, there will be some GST part on it. Okay, but government, any places, okay, like ration shops and all. Okay, I don't know how many of you know about ration shops and all. You'll see that there also goods are being sold, right? But there is no GST. So at any place where central government or state government or local authority is engaged as public authorities, that means they're opening a shop. Okay, just for a light example, they're opening up a shop and they're selling. Okay, they're selling. They have came to as a public authorities. Okay, there can never ever be GST can never ever be charged. And what are the more things? Rest of the things are this Schedule 3, that is negative list. Okay. Services by employee to employer in the course or in relation of his employment. Correct? We have read this already, that employee employer are out of purview of GST. By which? By virtue of Schedule 3, that is negative list. Okay. In relation to his employment, okay, course or relation to him. But if it is under any contract, then it will GST will be there. Services by court or tribunal is always GST free. This can never ever be GST. But there is an arbitral tribunal. Okay, this is out of court settlement. Okay, arbitral tribunal. Their services are taxable, but on reverse charge method. That means they will not collect the tax. One who are taking the service. Now, suppose for an example, Priyanka is taking arbitral services. Okay. So what will happen here? The tax liability, deposit liability will not be on arbitral tribunal. Priyanka will deposit the tax to the government. Correct. This is what we read about reverse charge mechanism. Okay. So remember, under a court and tribunal services are exempt, but arbitral tribunal. Okay, we'll discuss that in a reverse charge chapter. There is one case over there. Okay, case study is there. There we'll discuss more about it. But right now, just understand it is a out of court settlement. Okay, their services are taxable, but on reverse charge mechanism, not on forward charge. Okay, so what are the two things that are out of GST? One is employer-employee in the relation of employment, employee service to employer in relation to employment. Second one is services by court or tribunal, but there is an exception of arbitral tribunal, but on RCM basis. Now, third one is services by member of parliament. That means MLAs, MPs, their services will never ever be, because they are treated as a servant, correct? They are working for the parliament and all. Okay, but their services are also not liable to be taxed. Now, services by funeral, burial. Okay, this is a sympathetic point. Someone has died, okay, buried, and funeral is being carried on. So if they take ambulance services, okay, for carrying that body and all, so that is GST free. Okay, definitely the government is not going to say you have carried on so many dead bodies, now pay me the GST. Okay, now see, sale of land and building, but this sale of land and building is all ready to move in, or fully completed. Because under construction building is what GST will be liable over there. Okay. 6 is actionable claims other than lottery, betting, and gambling. So lottery, betting, and gambling, on that GST is there, but other than that, if there is any actionable claim, that will be GST free. Is that much clear?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, whatever the next points are, these 2 points what I'm going to do. Okay, I'll try to explain you right now. Okay, but if you do not get it right now, don't worry. These are customs point. When we read custom, that time we'll get it more better picture, and I'll connect you that time at this place. See, 7th point is that supply of goods from a place in a non-taxable territory to another place in non-taxable territory without such goods entering into India. Okay. Let's try to understand what actually is happening. Suppose this is India. Okay, and please don't raise this question, sir, peninsular hai, charo taraf water kaise hoga? Now, this is the land mass, and after this till 12 nautical miles, we know this is the part of India. Correct. So this is all under India. Okay. But in when we move to the custom, you will see that there is territorial waters of India that extends to 300 nautical miles. Okay, but no need to think right now about that. Okay, just understand by this. Now, what actually is happening? Suppose in India there is Mr. A. Okay, there is Mr. A. What Mr. A did? Mr. A, suppose he placed an order in USA to Mr. B. Okay, what he did? He ordered some good. Ordered some goods. Okay. Now suppose we know in India, here is Sri Lanka. Okay. Suppose here is Sri Lanka, but this goods, what he has ordered now, will be delivered from USA to Sri Lanka. Okay, that's good. That good is not for consumption in India. Okay, so what I can say over here. Okay, now people used to think that because Mr. A, who is in India, okay, Mr. A is in India, okay, who is in India, because he is placing an order from India that goods are going to Sri Lanka. That means he should be taxed. There should be GST liability. Correct. So what government said that? Now see. Remember this out of this after this 12 nautical miles, whatever is there, that is a non-taxable territory for us. Okay. Now read this point. I hope now you can connect with the point. What they're saying. See, I read it very slowly. Okay. Supply of goods from a place in non-taxable territory, that is USA in our example, to another place in the non-taxable territory, that is Sri Lanka in our example, without such goods entering into India. Is this clear now? Yes.
Yes, sir.
ऊपर से भी क्लियर हो तो चलेगा, ठीक है, क्योंकि कस्टम्स में यही सारी चीजें जो हम पढ़ेंगे. Okay, if it is little bit clear also, na, that you can now you can remember the point, at least that much is done, because in customs these are the only things that we are going to read in custom. Yes, to everyone जिसको ना समझ में आए प्लीज पूछ लीजिएगा. Okay, I'm assuming you have got it, so I'm moving ahead. Okay.
Okay,
So
sir.
okay. So for example, Mr. E of India purchased goods from USA and sent it directly to China for further sale. Okay, in our example, it was Sri Lanka. Last time I might have took China, but now I have boycotted China, so I'll not use China in the example. Okay, correct. Now this is clear. Now let's see the point 8. Supply of warehouse goods to any person before clearance for home consumption. Okay, let's read the point B, then I'll go to that diagram, I'll understand. Supply of goods by the consignee goods by the consignee to any other person by endorsement of document of title to the goods after the goods have been dispatched from the port of origin located outside India, but before clearance for home consumption. No worries, I'm coming to that. Give me a minute. Okay. So what it said that supply of goods by the consignee to any other person by endorsement of document of title to the goods after the goods have been dispatched from the port of origin located outside India, but before clearance for home consumption. No worries. Very simple thing. Okay, once you move on to the custom, it will be, these all are nothing. Now see what happens in it. This is very bad. Okay, so this is India. Correct. Now these all are custom ports. Okay. Now whenever a goods is, suppose it is coming from USA. Okay, it is coming by this route. Here it is the ship. Okay, once this ship reaches over here now, what actually happens? Let's try to understand the procedure. What happens in the custom? At first, these goods are unloaded, okay, and they are kept on the port, okay. Then what happens? There are two options for the one who is importer. Importer means the one who is importing the goods. Now, suppose Mr. A has placed the order, okay, so the goods belongs to Mr. A. There are two options what Mr. A can do. One is that Mr. A will pay everything and he will take the goods for home consumption. Home consumption. Okay, home consumption doesn't mean he'll take it to the home. Maybe he can take it to his factory as well. This is known as goods cleared for home consumption. And one more option is that he can clear everything, but right now maybe he's not having that in place in his inventory to keep it. What he can do, he can ask the custodians, they are known as custodians, to keep the good at warehouse. At warehouse. Okay, this is where warehouse words arises. That means goods are kept on the custom port, okay, under custodians. Okay, one option is that he can take it for home consumption, and another is that he can store it at the warehouse. Okay, now see, now let's read this point. I think you can connect. See, supply of warehouse goods, that is Mr. A, which has kept in the warehouse, to any person before clearance for home consumption. What they're trying to mean? Now, suppose Mr. A has kept the goods in the warehouse. Mr. A has kept the goods in the warehouse. And now, while the goods were in the warehouse, Mr. A sold the goods to Mr. B. He sold warehouse goods. So, what actually they are trying to say? If warehouse goods have been sold, then on this sale, on this transaction, it will never be a supply. Never be a supply, so no GST. Is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now the second one is also very similar to this. Okay. Now see, actually what they're trying to say, suppose this, once the goods has been dispatched, okay, I'm explaining the second one example as well. Once the goods has been dispatched, okay, Mr. A at the time it has left USA, but it has not yet reached Indian port. Okay, these goods which were there now, Mr. A sold it to Mr. B. At first, he sold the warehouse goods, and second, now he is selling the goods which is in transit. So then also there is no GST. This transaction between Mr. A and B is also not a sum. Is that clear? Now we'll read it once. Now see, you can. I hope you can connect it. We'll read the first point first. 8A, supply of warehouse goods that was kept by Mr. A to any person before clearance for home consumption. Mr. A sold it to Mr. B before home clearance. No GST. No, not a supply, no GST. Second one, supply of goods by the consignee to any other person. Means consignee was what? Mr. A, the importer. Okay. To any other person is, in our example, Mr. B, by endorsement of document of title. That means permanent transfer of title to the goods after goods have been dispatched from the port of origin located outside India. That means in our example, it has been dispatched from USA port. It was there in the middle, but before clearance for home consumption. In transit गुड को सेल कर दे या फिर वेयर हाउस गुड को सेल कर दे, दोनों ही होम कंजम्पशन से पहले, तो उसको सप्लाई नहीं माना जाता और उस पर जीएसटी नहीं लगता. इज दैट मच क्लियर टू एवरीवन?
सर ये पॉइंट फिर से बताइए.
ये पॉइंट क्या कह रहा है ना, देखिए एक ही चीज है. Okay, what actually matters is that whether goods have been cleared for home consumption or not. Okay, once they are cleared for home consumption, na, then after that, if you sell it, that will be a supply. That will. But if you have sold it before, okay, maybe warehouse good, maybe in transit good, both will never ever be a supply. Both will never ever be a supply. No GST. But after clearance for home consumption, if you sell it, that will be a supply. GST will be levied.
Okay.
Correct? Everyone has got it?
Yes, sir.
सबको ही ना? अर्चना, संजना, मनोज, everyone?
सर
क्योंकि
ये
देखिए,
गुड्स गुड्स एक मिनट सर वो गुड्स जो है इंडिया में आ गया। इंडिया से वो सर पिक करके वो वेयर हाउस में ले गया। अब वेयर हाउस में ले जाकर सर वो सेल किया, तो इंडिया में ही
नहीं
सेल
नहीं,
किया
वो
होगा।
नहीं ले जाएगा वेयर हाउस में, कस्टोडियन वेयर हाउस में है ना, इसका मतलब कस्टोडियन के अंदर ही है। उसने अभी तक
कस्टोडियन के
क्लियर
अंदर
नहीं
है।
करवाया, उसका गुड्स गुड्स एक ठिकाने पे रखा हुआ है, वो बाद में
ठीक है,
आएगा, क्लियर करवा के ले जाएगा।
क्लियर करवा के ले जाएगा तो
उसके
सर वो
हाँ
इंडिया में
एक
ही
बार अगर हाँ एक बार अगर क्लियर करवा लिया ना उसने, फिर जब वो
हाँ
बेचेगा तो उस पर जीएसटी लगेगा, लेकिन अगर उसने
जीएसटी
क्लियर
लगेगा।
नहीं
यानी
करवाया,
बिफोर क्लियरेंस
हाँ
इफ द
वही,
सप्लायर इज सेल दैट इज नॉट कंसिडर्ड सप्लाई।
करेक्ट करेक्ट
ठीक,
करेक्ट
ओके
करेक्ट, चाहे वेयर हाउस गुड्स हो चाहे इन ट्रांजिट गुड्स हो, इफ इट इज बिफोर द कंजम्पशन टू क्लियरेंस फॉर होम कंजम्पशन। ओके,
और ये सर ये जो सप्लाई जो करेगा वहां से जो बिफोर क्लियरेंस जो सप्लाई करेगा, तो इसका कोई बॉन्डिंग भी है कि विद इन इंडिया या आउट ऑफ इंडिया, क्योंकि
कहीं
ट्रांजिट
भी
में है
हो,
तो इंडिया
कहीं भी हो,
एनी।
कहीं भी हो,
ठीक,
अगर कंजम्पशन if it has not yet been cleared for home consumption, that means goods does not belong to India right now. Okay, you'll read this in custom. Until and unless goods are cleared for home consumption, that goods cannot be termed as Indian goods. Once custom duty and everything, warehouse charges, everything are being paid, once he take it out from the custom port, then it is considered as if these goods belong to India. Before that, no chance. So if it
होम
is anything is done before clearance from home consumption, that will never ever be treated as supply of goods.
होम कंजम्पशन मतलब प्रोडक्शन सर, प्रोडक्शन या एनीथिंग
होम
एल्स।
कंजम्पशन मतलब आप कस्टम से लेके कहीं भी जाओ, घर लेके जाओ, फैक्ट्री
कहीं
लेके
भी
जाओ, जहां मर्जी लेके जाओ, एक
आप
वर्ड है होम
आप
कंजम्पशन।
आप माने कस्टम्स आप क्लियर करने के बाद के बॉडी ये गुड्स कहीं भी
घर
लेके
ले
जाओ।
जाओ, आप घर ले जा रहे हो, आप ले जा रहे हो, आप घर ले जा रहे हो, इंडस्ट्री ले जा रहे हो, फैक्ट्री ले जा रहे हो,
जीएसटी
जहां
अप्लाई,
मर्जी ले जाओ, हाँ,
जीएसटी अप्लाई।
उसके बाद
ठीक,
आप बेचोगे तो जीएसटी अप्लाई होगा।
ओके सर।
Correct. So this was all about schedule 3, which is a negative list. Okay, so what are the things that we read? One was that transaction undertaken by CG, SG or local authority in which they are engaged as public authorities, no GST. Then there are some entries. One was employer-employee in relation to employment, services by court or tribunal, exception arbitral tribunal. Third, member of parliament and other, funeral, burial, etc. Sale of building ready to move in or fully completed. Okay. Actionable claim other than lottery betting and gambling. That means on lottery betting and gambling, it is the GST will be applied. Then we move on to some customs part. One is that supply of goods from a place in a non-taxable territory to another place in non-taxable territory without such goods entering into India. Okay, that will never ever be considered as supply, no GST. And eighth point was before clearance for home consumption, if you have sold warehouse goods or if you have sold the in-transit goods, that is also not a supply, no GST. Okay, so we have done 7.1 A, B, C, 7.1 A, that is schedule 2, 7.2, that is schedule 3. Now there is one more section, that is 7 subsection 3. It is nothing. Okay, what it says here. Section 7.3 of CGST Act 2017, as per Section 7.3, subject to the provision of subclause 1 and 2, the government may, on the recommendation of council, by notification, specify the transaction that are not to be treated as supply of goods, a supply of goods not as a supply of service, or supply of service or not as a supply of goods. That means they've just kept this power that in future they can add some more thing over here, what has to be treated, what or what not has to be treated. Okay, this is nothing. This is a constitutional power. This is an law power that government has kept in his hand. कि आगे चाहे तो गवर्नमेंट जीएसटी काउंसिल के रिकमेंडेशन से और भी ऐसे एंट्रीज ला सकता है जहां पे वो क्लैरिफाई करते हैं ये सर्विस नहीं, ये गुड है, ये गुड नहीं, ये सर्विस। Okay, as simple as that. So with this, we complete our supply part, but there are few illustrations. Should be some clarification regarding this. There are some circulars. Okay, Circulars are important. Only I have kept those circulars which are important for you. Okay, nothing more than that. This is only for your knowledge purpose. Okay. Okay, so let's continue. So it is a circular number. Okay, now do you guys know how to read these circular numbers? How to read this circular number? That is, it is 121/40/2019. Now see how it is. It has to be readed. Now this at the first number, that is 121, depicts that till the act in GST, this is circular number what in whole GST Act. It's 121st circular of GST Act. Okay, this 40 is what represent 2019. That of 2019, this is the 40th circular, and this is 121 of the total circulars that have been released till date. Okay, right now, if I talk about nowadays circulars, now it's yesterday only came that 2022 35 sorry 2023 7th, and it is 349, I think. Okay, so in all total till now 349 circulars have came, and of the year 2023, this is the 7th circular. Okay, this is how circulars are being read out. Okay, so this is 121st of the whole act, and this is 40th of the year 2019. Okay, let's see what they have asked, what they have clarified. Whether GST on license fee charged by the states for grant of liquor license to vendors. Now see, I think you all know that for liquor and all, you need to have a license. Okay, you
Yes,
need to
sir.
have a license. But what actually happened now? See, because liquor, alcoholic liquor for human consumption is out of GST. Okay, so people used to think that if license is also related to this, so that is also tax. That is not also under GST. Okay. But what they have said that it is to clarify that this special dispensation applies only to supply of service by way of grant of liquor licenses by the state government as an agreement between the center and the state, and has no applicability on the precedence value in relation to grant of other license and prevailing for a fee in other situation. Where GST is payable, tax is required to be paid by the business entities on such services under reverse charge. That means alcoholic liquor for human consumption is out of GST. Okay, is out of GST. But license to obtain that, okay, license to obtain that is what GST on that service to obtain license on that GST is there, and it is under reverse charge mechanism. Okay, is that clear to everyone? What it said, दारू sorry अल्कोहलिक लिकर फॉर ह्यूमन कंजम्पशन बेचने पे जीएसटी नहीं है, ठीक है, लेकिन उसके लिए जो लाइसेंस आपको ऑब्टेन करना पड़ता है ताकि आप दुकान खोल पाओ, वो लाइसेंस लेने के लिए जो आप सर्विसेज लेते हो ना, उस पे जीएसटी है, और रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म पे जीएसटी. ठीक है, सॉरी फॉर द वर्ड दारू. ओके, now next circular, now see, it is 2017. That means because in 2017 was the year when GST came out, correct? So it is 22 overall 22nd amendment circular, and of the year 2017 also it is 22nd, because 2017 was the year when this GST was rolled out. Okay, artists gave their work of art to galleries where it is exhibited for supply. Okay, now there used to be doubt. Now suppose here it is an artist. Okay, he has given his work of art for exhibition. exhibition. We know that for exhibition, no consideration is charged, correct? So people used to think that the exhibition which they provided, that is also a supply of goods. So they have to pay tax. But government clarified that only sending it to exhibition does not constitute to supply. Okay. When it will be sold in the exhibition, then on this transaction, there will be it will be considered as supply, and supply of goods and tax will be levied accordingly. Okay. Now let's read it out. However, no consideration flows from gallery to the artist when the artwork are sent to gallery for exhibition, and therefore the same is not a supply. It is only a buyer. It is only when a buyer selects a particular artwork displayed at the gallery that the actual supply takes place, and applicable GST will be payable at the time of such supply. Okay, only sending your work of art to exhibition does not amounts to supply. Okay, once it's only when it is being sold in that exhibition, okay, and you will receive some consideration, okay, then it has to be treated as supply. Is that clear? The next circular, 116/35/2019, means overall 116th, but 35th of the year 2019. Okay. Levy of GST on service of display of name or placing of nameplates on the donor in the premises of charitable organizations receiving donations or gift from individual donors. Now see what actually happens now. Try to understand it, that how this doubt came out, how this question came out. We know donations and charities, correct? So what used to be there? Now, suppose for an example, I have a business entity. Okay. I am having my own business, and I have done some charity. I have done some donations at some temple or maybe some orphanage, okay, organizations and all. I have donated it, and suppose my condition to them was that I will donate you, but you have to display my name at your place that I have donated it. And you have to also mention my business name, that what is my business. So don't you think it's a kind of advertisement that I'm doing? Correct. So this circular is regarding that only, that if that is being done and it represents as if you are aiming for advertisement, so on that donation also, it will be considered as supply and GST will be liable to. But if you have just donated, okay, there is no advertisement purpose, then there would be no GST. Okay, and suppose after donation also you didn't want it, but they have given your name, but they have presented your name in such a way that it does not seems that you are advertising. That is also not under the GST. Now see what was the issue. Individual donors provide financial help or any other support in the form of donation or gift to institutions such as religious institutions, charitable organizations, schools, hospitals, orphanages, old age homes, etc. The recipient institutions place a name plate or similar such acknowledgement in their premises to express the gratitude. Clarification. Thus, when the name of the donor is displayed in the recipient institution premises in such manners which can be said to be an expression of gratitude and public recognition of donor's activity of philanthropy, and is not aimed at giving publicity to the donor in such manner that would be an advertisement or promotion of his business, then it can be said that there is no supply of service for a consideration in the form of donation. There is no obligation quid pro quo on part of recipient of the donation or gift to do anything, supply a service. Therefore, no GST liability on such consideration. Okay, if you are keeping the condition, okay, and your name is being displayed, this now suppose for an example, if I have given the donation, okay, so they could have given my name that Mr. Shivam Singh has donated, but what actually was written, suppose my firm name is Shivam, my business Shivam and Company. Okay, so what they have done, they have expressed the gratitude to Shivam and Company dealing in furnitures. Okay. So what actually it seems now that if it is an advertisement for me, that people will come, they will read about me, and they'll come to know that I'm dealing in furnitures. So it is a kind of advertisement. Whenever it will depict that it is a kind of advertisement. So in that case, it will be a supply of service, advertisement service, and GST will be levied. But if they have mentioned my name only, Mr. Shivam Singh, then it seems now that there's no kind of advertisement and all. Okay, so in that case, it will not be treated as supply of service, no consideration of, means no GST will be there. Is that clear? Yes, is that clear?
लास्ट का दो लाइन का मतलब सर एक बार बताएं, लास्ट दो लाइन।
दो मत जाइए, उस पर जाइए ही मत,
अच्छा ठीक,
जाइए मत। आपको ये समझ में आया मैटर क्या है? ठीक है, यहाँ पे ये बोल रहा है ना कि देखिए ऐसा माना जाएगा कि जो पार्ट ऑफ रेसिपिएंट है ना, उस पर कोई ऑब्लिगेशन नहीं था कि आपके डोनेशन या गिफ्ट के बदले में वो कुछ करे। जब ऐसा लगेगा कि उसने सिर्फ ग्रेटिट्यूड एक्सप्रेस किया, वो आपका एडवर्टाइजमेंट का हेल्प नहीं कर रहा था, तो वैसे केसेस में इसको सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विस नहीं माना जाए, नॉर्मल रहेगा, उस पर कोई जीएसटी लायबिलिटी नहीं है। ठीक, ऑब्लिगेशन नहीं था, मतलब मैंने कंडीशन नहीं रखा था कि आपको मेरा नाम मेरे बिजनेस के नाम के साथ आपको बताना पड़ेगा मैंने डोनेट किया, ऑब्लिगेशन नहीं था।
ओके।
The next circular 47/21/2018 all over 47th and 21st of 2000 of the year 2018. Molds and dies owned by original equipment manufacturers, we call it OEM, that are sent free of cost to a component manufacturer in the course or furtherance of business does not constitute supply, since they are not related person or distinct person and there is no consideration involved. Okay, so what actually used to happen, this मोल्ड्स एंड डाइज आई थिंक सबको पता है, जैसे कप एंड प्लेट्स एंड ऑल, तो इनके लिए ना वो जो शेपर होता है ना, ऑन विच दे आर मेड द शेपर्स एंड ऑल, इफ दे आर आल्सो सप्लाइड okay to the OEMs, okay, for free of cost, that for getting that perfect measure, size and shape, okay, if that is also being supplied free of cost, then also it won't be considered as a supply and there will be no liability of GST on that, because since they are not related person, neither they are distinct person and no consideration is there. Okay, so no supply on that. People used to think that अगर हम ये सब चीजें भी भेजेंगे ना तो फिर इसको सप्लाई मान लिया जाएगा, बट इट clarified that it will not be treated as supply. Okay, the next one, 1/1/2017. Now see, it is the first circular of the GST Act. Interstate movement of various modes of conveyance. Interstate means between two states. Okay, interstate movement of various modes of conveyance between distinct person, include between distinct person means one of my other establishments, carrying goods, passengers, or both, or for repair and maintenance. Okay, except in cases where such movement is for further supply of the same conveyance. That means in conveyance, okay, whatever conveyance you are using it for passenger transport or for repair and maintenance, correct? Suppose for an example, I have my one entity in another state, okay, and there has been some machinery breakdown. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm sending my technical team. Definitely they will not go by walk. Okay, I'll give them some conveyance. Okay, so they are going by that, they are repairing everything and they are coming back. Do you think that is there anything that I have supplied? Definitely not. So it won't be a GST. But suppose I have that car manufacturing, I sell cars. Okay, I sent my technical team over there with the conveyance, and the conveyance was kept over there for further sale, and my technical team came back. Okay, so what was that? This was the case where such movement is for further supply. That means supply of that car, further supply of that car. So that will be treated as supply. Other than that, not. Now see, was discussed in the GST Council meeting held on 11 June 2017, and the Council recommended that such interstate movement will be treated neither as supply of goods nor supply of service, and therefore not leviable to IGST. Which one? Where it is not in the case of further supply. If it is for further supply, definitely it will be treated as GST. It will be treated as supply and GST will be liable. But if it is not for that further supply, okay, then they are just going in, वो जा रहे हैं और काम करके चले आ रहे हैं उसी गाड़ी में वापस. So that is not for further supply. इस पे कोई supply of goods और service नहीं होगा. क्यों? ऐसा क्यों बोलना पड़ा? Why government need to brought out this? Can anyone help me out? Let me see.
ये नहीं पता है.
हमने कुछ तो पढ़ा है, तभी ये क्लैरिफाई हो रहा है. किसी के दिमाग में क्लिक कर रहा है क्या? Don't you remember we read about distinct person? If there is a supply of goods for no consideration between distinct person, it is treated as supply. Correct? And here what I am doing, I am sending a conveyance for carry of passenger goods or passenger repair and maintenance to one of my distinct person. So people used to think, अरे जा तो रहा है तो टैक्स तो लगेगा. Correct. Because of this schedule 1 entry, it has been brought out in the light eyes. Otherwise simple है ना, अगर supply नहीं हो रहा तो क्यों? But people used to think distinct person, okay, I'm sending something to my distinct person for no consideration. So definitely supply will be there. Okay. Okay, everything is interrelated. Okay, you can relate everything. Okay, now because we have completed supply, okay, I don't know that how good you have been or how much revisions you have done, but believe me, once you get a hold of the supply now, GST will be very easy for you. Okay, I'm saying this from the day one, that supply is the backbone of GST. If you cannot get hold of the supply, okay, your whole GST will be very shaky. लेकिन अगर आप एक बार इसको पकड़ लिए ना, क्योंकि ये शेड्यूल 1, शेड्यूल 2, शेड्यूल 3 यही आपके काम आए. हम जितना भी आगे चले जाए, हम आईटीसी वाईटीसी जब पढ़ेंगे ना, तब यही सारी चीजें पढ़ेंगे. वापस से ये सारी चीजें मैं रिपीट करूंगा. आई विल जस्ट से यू रिमेंबर शेड्यूल 1, रिमेंबर शेड्यूल 1, रिमेंबर शेड्यूल 1. ओके, दिस रेफरेंस विल बी देयर till the last day of your exam. When you will sit in the exam, at that day also there will be reference of schedule 1, schedule 2 and schedule 3. Okay, so give your best in this, at least in the supply part. This is all. Okay, the last circular, interstate movement of rigs, tools and spares and all goods on wheels like crane. Okay, now see, the above circular shall mutatis mutandis apply to the interstate movement of rigs, tools and spares. Okay, it is, they're saying that whatever they have been said over here, the same will apply over here as well. If the interstate movement has been there for further supply, then it will be treated as supply and GST will be levied. But if it is not for that further supply, it has been only went for that repair and maintenance, and they are coming back after once it is being done, it will be not treated as supply. Okay. आप लोगों ने वीडियो देखा नहीं है, ये तो मैं समझ गया. You have not yet completed the whole videos that I have uploaded till now. Okay, so we'll start now composite and mixed supply. Okay, now see what actually we have done in till now is what. See, at first we read what actually is a supply, correct? Then we read that what actually is a supply is read, we read it in section 7(1)(a), that is general, B, that is that import of service, and C was the schedule 1, correct? Then we read 7(1)(a), which was for goods or service differentiation. Then we move on to section 7(2), where we discussed about not a supply, negative list, correct? Now see here in 7(1)(a), okay, let me bring out this 7(1)(a), where we read about whether it is of goods or service. Do you think that those 11 entries are going to solve everything that is there in the world today? Each and everything जो कि अभी है सब cover हो गया उसमें. It's impossible, correct? There are only some specific cases are given where it has been said that whether it is of goods or it is of service, correct? 10 to 11 entries are only there, but except that, what are the rest? If something else qualified as supply, how to determine whether it is of goods or service? Okay, so here comes the section 8. Okay, here comes section 8 in the picture. It is of composite supply, and mixed supply. Okay, and here the main differentiation is also that whether it is of good or of service, because in 7.1 there are limited 10 to 11 entries are only there. 10 to 11 things they have only covered. What about other things? Other things will fall under section 8. Okay, here we'll read about composite supply and mixed supply, and how this composite and mixed supply are going to help us to determine whether this particular supply is of goods or that particular supply is of service. Okay, this is how section 8 has come into the picture. See, the first question itself arises, sir, why need to distinguish whether it is a supply of goods or service? Supply है तो है ना, GST है तो है ना, हो गया ना. Once it is supply, it is GST, charge the tax. Now see, the rate of GST is different. For goods, there is different rate. For services, there are different rate. Okay, provision relating to TOS and POS. TOS is what? Time of supply. POS we have read already, correct? POS. What is POS?
Place of supply.
Place of supply. POS and LOS we have already read. Place of supply and location of supply are in same state, so intra, different state, so inter. Okay, we'll read these chapters as well, and there we'll see that for goods there are different rules, for services there are different. Okay, invoices, how invoices are being prepared. Invoices chapter is also there. Section 31 is there, invoices. There also you'll see that for goods there are different provision, for services there are different provisions. So there is a large need to differentiate whether that particular supply is of goods or services. To charge tax itself, it's very important, okay, to know whether it is of goods or services, because for goods the rates are different, for services the rates are different. Generally for goods the rate are more, for services rate is less. Now see, list of item given in schedule 271A, what is that? Which is of goods or services. But if it fails to segregate, means if some more entries have come which has been not been mentioned in schedule 2, then section 8 is used to determine the rate of GST applicable. How they will determine the rate of GST applicable? They'll directly identify whether it is of goods or service. After reading this, you will get it. That anything now, after reading this composite and mixed supply, you can come up and you can say this is goods, this is service. You yourself can say it. Now, the first one is a composite supply. What actually is a composite supply? Now, composite supply means two or more supplies, naturally bundled, supplied in ordinary course of business. What actually it is trying to say? Have you seen that cup plate? Correct? दो एक साथ दो बिकते हैं ना वो. क्या आपने देखा कप अलग बिकता है, प्लेट अलग बिकता है?
Yes sir.
हाँ, अलग देखा बिकते हुए?
सर प्लेट ऐसे अलग भी बिकता है, बट साथ में भी बिकता है.
साथ में बिकता है ना, बिकता है ना साथ में. चलिए.
Yes sir.
This toothpaste and brush अलग भी बिक जाता है, लेकिन साथ भी
अलग
तो
भी
चलता
बिकता है,
है.
बट साथ
भी
बट
चलता है.
नॉर्मली सर पेस्ट में साथ नहीं आता है.
Correct. Now, for example of fruits, different fruits. Okay, the best example, hotel services with breakfast facility. Very common. That in your hotel package, breakfast facility is also there. That means you are going to live over there. You are staying accommodation plus you are also getting restaurant services in one package. Okay. Now,
Complementary.
what actually composite supply does, two or more supplies. That means not only one. That means if I'm selling only goods or not goods, suppose for an example, I'm only selling one cold drink or anything, then composite supply won't come. Two or more supplies which are naturally bundled. Naturally bundled means normally you will see those combinations. You see that it's very common. Like for example, cup and plate, toothpaste and
So like
toothbrush,
laptop with bag.
laptop with
Yeah.
bag, correct, mobile phone with chargers, headphones, correct. These are naturally bundled. If you see this, we won't feel like, "Arey, two." That reaction won't be there. Supplied in the ordinary course of business. That means now here and there, we can see that combinations are available. Okay. Now see, among these two supplies now, one will be the principal supply and another will be ancillary supply, ancillary or secondary supply. For an example, toothpaste and toothbrush, what is the principal supply? Toothpaste, correct. For cup and
Yes.
plate, what is the principal supply? Cup.
Cup.
For hotel facility, hotel with breakfast facility, what is the most priority? You go to eat breakfast or you go to stay?
Stay, sir.
Correct. So wherever there will two supplies which are naturally bundled, you can automatically find out that one among them is principal, which is main, for which you are doing this. Okay, what is there? Now see, now suppose for an example, okay, let's keep it up to there. I'll discuss this again. I'll go to fresh page and discuss. So what actually I'm saying, when two or more supplies, when they are naturally bundled and supplied in the ordinary course of business, okay, among these two supplies, one is a principal supply and next one is the ancillary supply or secondary supply. Then it is a composite supply. हाँ रुचि, कुछ पूछना है आपको?
सर जो मैं एग्जांपल दे रही थी वो
हाँ,
राजधानी एक्सप्रेस एंड इट्स मील
मील राजधानी, वेरी गुड. चलिए, थोड़ा लेट आई लेकिन आई तो सही. Now suppose, okay, the rate of the principal supply to be levied. That means if cup and plate are sold together, then whatever the rate of the cup will be there, that will be levied on plate as well. Toothpaste and brush, if I'm saying toothpaste is the principal supply, so whatever rate toothpaste is taxable, brush will also be taxed on the same rate, no matter if it has some other rate as well. Okay. Now see, if the principal supply is of goods, then it is said as supply of goods. And if the principal supply is of service, it is a supply of service. Correct. Now, I have one great example of goods and services. Suppose you went to a showroom and you purchased a TV. Okay. And you are asking them to deliver it to your home. That means transportation service is also there. If you have the distance is more, they will also give you insurance service. Correct. So along with goods, you are also getting some services. But what is the principal over here? TV or the transportation service? आप टीवी खरीद रहे इसलिए कोई घर तक फ्री में देने आएगा. Definitely here the principal is TV and TV is a goods. So this will be a supply of goods. And whatever rate is applicable on TV, the same rate on other services will also be applied. Is that clear? That how after schedule 2 they are doing that?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt till now? I told you, it's very simple. Composite supply is very simple.
No,
Okay,
sir, not in
so
doubt.
composite supply means two or more supplies among which is a principal supply and another is the ancillary or secondary supply, which are naturally bundled and supplied in the ordinary course of business. Then it is a composite supply. Rate of the principal supply will be levied, and if principal supplies of goods, then both will be called as a supply of goods, and if principal supply is of service, then both are to be called as supply of services. Okay. Now, mixed supplies. Now, say mixed supplies is what? Two or more individual supplies. Means any combinations they have made. Like in Diwali, fruit packets, there are sweets, there are fruits, some cold drinks as well. Correct? Now you can see that all of them can be sold individually as well, but they are not naturally bundled. They have just made a combo pack. Okay, they have made a combo pack of some gift hampers. Okay, where 2 or more individual supplies are there. Means that chocolate itself can be sold separately, fruit itself can be sold separately, whereas the soft drinks can also be sold separately. But they're combined together. Okay, and they're supplied for a single price, because the whatever the pack price will be there, that will be charged, and which is not a composite supply, means they are not naturally bundled. That is known as mixed supply. Okay, and in mixed supply now, you do not need to determine whether it is of goods or services. Why? Because they have said that GST rate is the highest rate of tax among all the supplies. Okay, so sweets, fruits, and soft drinks, a combo is there. They are not naturally bundled. They are supplied for a single price. Suppose among these three, whichever will be the highest rate of tax, that will be charged to all the three products. Okay. So one of your problems are solved now, rate of GST. Even if you cannot determine whether it is a supply of goods or services, still you can identify what rate has to be applied on that. Okay, this is all what there in composite and mixed. Yes, let's read this example for better clarity. Where goods are packed and transported with insurance, the supply of goods, packing materials, transport and insurance is a composite supply, and the supply of goods is a principal supply. Okay. When a consumer buys a laptop, he also gets a warranty, pre-installed Windows and Microsoft Office application. This supply is a composite supply. And here the supply of laptop is the principal supply, and others are ancillary or secondary to it. Okay. Food supplied to inpatient as advised by the doctor or nutritionist is a part of composite supply of healthcare and not separately taxable. Okay. Further supplies of food by hospital to patient not admitted to their attendants or visitors are taxable. Okay. In case of printing of books, pamphlet, brochures, annual reports, and the like, where only contents is supplied by the publisher or the person who owns the uses of right to the intangible input, while the physical input includes paper used for the printing belong to the printer. The supply of printing of the content supplied by the recipient is the supply of principal supply. That means you are providing the content and someone is printing on his own paper. So it is a composite supply. Okay, and here the principal is what the inputs that you are providing. So it will be supply of services. Now see, under composite supply, there is a works contract and a restaurant service. A works contract or a restaurant service are classic example of composite supply. However, GST Act identifies both as supply of service and chargeable to a specific rate of tax mentioned in each services. Okay. In respect of composite supply, other than two categories mentioned above, the need to determine the supply as a composite one will arise so as to determine the appropriate classification of supply as a supply of goods or supply of service. As also appropriate rate of tax, it will be necessary to determine as to what constitutes the principal supply in such composite supply and whether particular supply is naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business. Because if they are not naturally bundled, it will be a mixed supply, and highest rate among all the supplies will be levied on the whole pack. Okay. See, a hotel provides 4-day and 3-night package with a facility of breakfast. This is a natural bundling of services in the ordinary course of business. The service of hotel accommodation gives the bundle the essential characters and would therefore be treated as service of providing hotel accommodation. A 5-star hotel is booked for a conference of 100 delegates on a lump sum package with the following facilities: accommodation for the delegates, breakfast, tea and coffee, access the fitness room, availability of conference room, business center. These all are example of composite supply. Okay, is it clear? Now see, other illustrative indicators, not determinative but indicative of bundling the service in ordinary course of business are: there is a single price or the customer pays the same amount no matter how much the package they actually receive or use. The elements are normally advertised as package. Okay, different elements are not available separately. Different elements are integral to one overall supply. If one is removed, the nature of supply would be affected. Okay, these are some more conditions to determine composite supply. Okay, but in that detail is not needed for you. So what actually is needed? What is a composite supply? Two or more supplies, among which one is the principal supply and others are ancillary or secondary, which are naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business. It is a composite supply. If the principal supply is of goods, then it is a supply of good. If principal is of service, then it is a service. And the rate of the principal supply will be applied to all. And for mixed, two or more individual supplies, okay, bundled together, not naturally bundled, okay, and they are sold for a single price, okay, then it is a mixed supply and the highest rate among all will be applied to all. Now see, let's use this example. Supply of package consisting of canned foods, sweets, chocolates, cakes, dry fruits, aerated drinks, and fruit juices, when supplied for a single price, is a mixed supply. Okay, it shall be supplied for a single price. Okay, then only it will be a mixed supply. Each of those items can be supplied separately and is not dependent on any other. Okay, it shall not be a mixed supply if these items are supplied separately. In order to identify if the particular supply is a mixed supply, the first requisite is to rule out that the supply is a composite supply. Okay, that at first you have to determine that it is not a composite supply, then it will be a mixed supply. A supply can be a mixed supply only if it is not a composite supply. It can be said that if the transaction consisting of supplies not naturally bundled in the ordinary course of business, then it would be a mixed supply. Once the amenability of the transaction of a composite supply is ruled out, it would be a mixed supply classified in terms of supply of goods or service attracting highest rate of tax. Okay, so among these all items, this canned food, sweets, chocolates, cakes, dry fruits, aerated water, and fruit juices. Okay, these all are goods only. So among these, whatever will be the highest rate. Okay, whatever item will be carrying the highest rate, the whole rate will be applied to the whole pack. Okay. See, composite supply or mixed supply difference. Naturally bundled in composite supply, yes. For mixed, no. Each supply available to supply individual in composite, no. In mixed, yes. It may be, it may not be. One is predominant supply of recipient, that is principal supply. Composite, yes. Mixed, maybe. Other supplies is or are ancillary received because of the predominant supply. For composite, we know, yes, one has to be principal, other has to be dominant. But for mixed, no. Each supply priced separately. In composite, maybe, but in mixed supply, no. Okay, because we know for mixed, the criteria is single price. Supplied together, both for yes. All supplies can be of goods, definitely. For both it can be. All can be services, definitely. Combination of one or more goods and one or more service, yes, it is possible for both. See, one clarification has came regarding this. Okay, buy one get one offer. That for buy one get one offer, what actually has to be done? Whether it is a composite supply, whether it is a mixed supply. Sometimes companies announce offers like buy one get one free. For example, buy one soap get one soap free, or get one toothbrush free along with the purchase of a toothpaste. Okay. As per 7(1)(a), that is the basic definition, the goods or services which are supplied free of cost without any consideration shall not be treated as supply under GST, except in case activities mentioned under Schedule 1 of the said Act. Okay. It may appear at first glance that in case of offers like buy one get one free, one item is being supplied free of cost without any consideration. In fact, it is not an individual supply of free goods, but a case of two or more individual supplies where single price is being charged for the entire supply. Okay, so they itself clarifying that actually there's nothing like buy one get one free. It's that you see, it seems that at one price we are getting two, but actually it is not. It is a combination of two prices being sold together. It can at best be treated as supply of two goods for the price of one. Okay, so they are saying that it has to be treated as mixed supply. See, taxability of such supply will be dependent upon as to whether the supply is a composite supply or a mixed supply, and the rate of the tax shall be determined as per the provisions of Section 8. Okay. It is also clarified that ITC shall be available on the supplier of input service capital goods. No need to go through this point right now. Okay. You won't get it right now. It is something related to ITC chapter. After we do that ITC chapter, you'll get a good idea about input service and capital goods there. Then you can get this. So what actually here they are trying to do here, because we know that we have to classify whether that supply is of goods or whether that supply is of service. Okay, and in order to identify that, we have one Schedule 2, but that is of limited item. What about if something more comes? So if anything more comes, then you have to identify whether it is a composite supply or whether it is a mix. Okay, and once you identify, then same rate will be applicable. For composite supply, principal supply rate, and if it is of goods, then goods. If service, then service. In case of mixed, highest rate, and if the highest rate is of goods, then it's a supply of goods, and if the highest rate is of service, then it's a supply of service. Okay, so you can determine what actually is a goods or service and what rate is to be charged at. Okay. Anyone has anything to ask till now?
No,
So with
sir.
this, with this, we complete our composite and mixed supply as well. Okay, and we'll start something new from next session. Okay, but before that, there are few more examples. Okay, go through those at once. Okay, in case of doubt, you can reach out to me. Okay, so for today's session, we'll keep it up to here. I'll see you in the next session. Okay.